Welcome dear students. Today I am going to deliver a presentation on adolescents and their problems. Let's start with the objectives of the topic. To know about the different developmental states of humankind, to study adolescence as a stage of development, to throw light on stress and strain at adolescent stage, to acquaint students about the changes that emerge in adolescence period. And the last is to highlight the problems that emerge during adolescent stage. Let's start with the introduction of the topic. It's a fact that all living beings pass through specific stages or phases of development. And every period of development is likely to be accompanied by many potential difficulties. Human life completes its journey through various stages. And one of the most vital stage is adolescence. Adolescent behavior has been studied from very early times. Plato characterized the adolescents to be argumentative and easily excitable, while Aristotle described them as impulsive, prone to excess, exaggerations, and lacking self-restraint. Adolescence is a period of transition from childhood to the adulthood and plays a decisive role in the formation of an adult. Adolescence is a period when an individual changes physically and psychologically. It's a period when rapid physiological and psychological changes demand for new social roles to take place. The adolescents, due to these changes, often face a number of crises and dilemmas. Erikson believed that each stage of life is marked by a specific crisis or conflict between competing tendencies. Only if individuals negotiate each of these hurdles successfully, they can develop a normal and a healthy manner. Adolescence is a period when a child moves from dependency to the autonomy. It demands significant adjustment to the physical and the social changes. During adolescence, the individual begins to sense a feeling of his own or her own identity, a feeling that one is a unique human being and yet prepared to fit into some meaningful role in a society. The person becomes aware of individual inherent characteristics such as likes, dislikes, anticipated goals of the future, and the strength and purpose of control on one's own destiny. This is a time in the life when one wishes to define what one is at present and what one wants to be in the future. It's the time for making vocational plans. During this phase, adolescents must integrate various roles into a consistent self-identity. If they fail to do so, they may experience confusion over who they are because of the difficult transition from childhood to the adulthood, on the one hand, and of sensitivity to the social and historical change on the other. The adolescent during the stage of identity formation is likely to suffer more deeply than ever before or ever again from a confusion of roles or identity confusion. This state can cause one to feel isolated, empty, anxious and indecisive. So adolescence is a crucial stage in the life of an individual with its characteristics, needs and problems. Now we'll discuss problems of adolescence. As adolescence is a period of transition from childhood to the adulthood, that implies many developmental changes and associated problems. Some of the outstanding problems of adolescence are as perplexity with regard to somatic variations. Every adolescent has more or less difficult task of adjusting to somatic variations which may occur in connection with puberty. The flow of blood during menstruation in girls and nocturnal emission in the boys creates worries and give birth to so many fears and anxieties. Since ours is a conservative society, youngsters are less informed about the physical changes that are occurring during the puberty. Plus, lack of scientific information about the sex hygiene and the philosophy makes them to satisfy with crude and perverted knowledge about sex-related matters. It creates guilt and so many complexes in the minds of the children which make them introverted and secretive. The second lies with the physical growth. Because of rapid and unbalanced growth in height, weight, motor development, voice change, and physique, the adolescent feels embarrassment in the group with which he moves. He feels that he is looking odd in the company of his class fellows and playmates. The disturbing physical factors for girls are fatness, facial features, scars on face, small breast, etc. The disturbing factors for boys are lack of muscular strength, unusual facial hair, and lack of shoulder breadth, etc. The next problem lies with the voice change. Change in the voice of the male occur in early puberty. The adolescent boys may feel embarrassed by unexpected shift in his tone until he learns to handle his voice. Problem related with intensification of sex consciousness. The sudden awakening of sex instinct during adolescence result in intensification of the sex consciousness. Adolescents are curious to know about sex-related topics and are seeking answers to their innumerable doubts in the sexual matters. Most of the parents are illiterate and they do not have scientific knowledge of sex problems. Moreover, our social values are different. Hence, parents hesitate to discuss sex problems with their children. So, the adolescents resort socially unacceptable ways to quench their curiosity and to satisfy their sexual needs. Ideally, the adolescent is supposed to wait until a certain age when economic independence has been achieved. Society imposes limitations on sexual expressions and create problems for the adolescents. It regards even simple sexual urge as immoral and reprehensible. When the individual reaches his middle teen, he is able to perform all the adult sexual functions. But society wants that he should postpone sexual expressions until marriage. The next problem is mental competition. Because of mental development, the adolescent become critical and fault finder. They want to broaden their mental horizon by knowing everything that comes across. The mentally superior adolescent faces the problem of adjustment. Because of a rigorous competition to which he is subjected by his parents. The mentally slow adolescent faces the problem of adjustment because he finds that the school is geared to the bright students and it's difficult for him to master the academic subjects. So self-criticism starts. Adolescents begin to evaluate their performance objectively. But majority of the adolescents do not achieve mental maturity. To do so, they either overestimate or underestimate their performance. The next problem lies with the adjustment difficulties with parents. Adolescents' desire for freedom and independence. During adolescent years, the boys or girls stand to develop interest for a group outside the family, but often it is obstructed by parental oppositions. Parental oppositions may extend to such areas as choice of friends, choice of education, recreational interests, dress, lifestyle, outgoing from and coming to the home, mode of behavior, etc. So on one hand, they feel joy in being dependent upon their parents, and on the other, they experience that their peers are also pleasant. The peer groups attract them with a great force because it offers them esteem and status, which is either lacking in the family or is not got there at all. Failure to adjust with the parents may result in revolting against parents in authority. Parents generally complicate the problem by placing demands on the adolescent, sons and daughters. When they come to know that the relationship between them and their children is about to change, when they find that their children are becoming more rebellious, less responsive, and less involved in the life of the family, they feel threatened. Every father or mother thinks that his son or daughter is psychological extension of himself. And when the adolescent slips along into the outside world, he or she feels that he or she is losing part of himself or herself. As the adolescent becomes more independent, he needs not so much care, direction, and attention from the parents, which parents still think necessary for his existence and well-being. The emotionally insecure parents are unable to face and accept this fact. The adolescents may feel the need of parental love, care, and attention at certain times, but he is so proud of himself that he does not want to accept these things. He looks upon any form of dependence as a sign of weakness. This is the reason why there is a conflict going on between the adolescent and his parents. The next is adolescent-parent attachment. Conflict between adolescent and parent itself is not a sign of a poor relationship quality, but it's a result of rapid neurological, cognitive, and social change of adolescents that creates a social cognitive dilemma for youth. That is, maintaining connection with parents while exploring new social roles away from the family, and developing attachment relationship with peers and romantic partners. The next is the financial problem. The problem of adolescents have multiplied with socio-economic development of the country. The problem of money is a big issue. There are many activities of adolescents which involve money. The adolescent needs money. He feels ashamed of begging money from parents. Parents are conservative in providing money for extra activities to their sons and daughters. The next is childhood-adulthood conflict. In our society, the adolescent is considered neither as a child nor as an adult. He has to depend on his parents and elders for his physical and emotional needs. at the same time, he wants to hold independent view and opinion like an adult. He can very well manage his own affairs and resist any unnecessary interference from the part of an elders. He begins to feel ashamed and embarrassed for the protection and care shown by the parents. He is often treated in an ambiguous manner by parents and teachers. Sometimes they expect him to behave as an adult, and at other times, they treat him as a child. The poor adolescent is caught between the role of the child and the adult, which pushes him into confusion and tension. The next is conflict between empathy and self-concern. The emotional problems of the adolescent are caused by his or her growth in the ability to interact with and respond to others, accompanied by conflicting developments. On the one hand, he tends to develop a kind of a self-concern. On the other, he or she becomes so aware of the needs and feelings of other people. There is an inverse relation between self-concern and empathy. The next is adjustment difficulties with school discipline. Most of the adolescents face a great problem in adjusting with school discipline. The environment of the school is also not conducive to meet the interests of the students. The reason being defective method of teaching, curriculum, examination, repressive measures adopted by the school, unattractive conditions of the school campus are largely responsible for creating frustration among the students. Sometimes schools expect too much from the student. Schools implant habit of unquestioning obedience that inhibit the growth of a young people towards true independence. The average adolescent tries to run away from the home, though economically and vocationally he is yet not able to leave it. It's the school where he can be away from the home for a particular length of time in the day. It's the school also where he can mix with associates in the study hall, in the classroom, or in the playground. If the school does not organize social gatherings like excursion, outing, trips, and if there is no arrangement for social development, the adolescent does not find the school a satisfactory place. Consequently, he becomes a truant. The next problem lies with the teaching-learning process. Most of the adolescents face a great problem in adjustment with teachers. Teachers are rigid, conservative, and do not change their attitude. Some adolescents reported the problem of favoritism by teachers to some students. The next is problem of leisure. Lack of proper recreational facilities or having nothing to do in their free times leads the adolescents to involve in some unsocial and criminal activities. Their thoughts and attitudes may turn to be destructive and create serious problems for the society. The next, adjustment difficulties with community. The adolescent is expected to find his place in the society, marked by increasing social isolation and rapid technological change. This changing world makes it difficult to anticipate and plan for adolescent life. They have difficulty in adjusting their capacity to the demands of the society. At this critical phase, most adolescents react by withdrawing into a non-demanding and non-working world of pleasure and satisfaction. In the world of human affairs, says Tagore, there is no worse nuisance than a boy at the age of 14. He is neither ornamental nor useful. It's impossible to shower affection on him. If he talks with childish lips, he is called a baby. And if he answers in a grown-up way, he is called as impertinent. The next conflict is ideal and reality conflict. It's during adolescence. An adolescent moves from being children to adults. Perhaps the single most important and grandiose set of change. Others may not know how they feel about themselves. The disparity between ideal and actual can produce confusion and maladaptation. Insecurity and anxiety are caused by thwarting. The adolescent faces a great deal of insecurity in his relation with others and particularly with adults. The society hopes and expects that he should behave like an adult, but not too much like an adult. The adolescent is also eager to play adult behavior, but he does not know whether he has gone too far or not far enough. This state of affair causes a sense of insecurity and anxiety. The anxiety is also caused by the fact that adolescent is living in two kinds of societies: the teenage society and adult society. The behavior that satisfies one irritates the other. Therefore, the adolescent is living constantly in a state of attention. The next lies with the personal problems. The adolescent is faced with many emotional problems. He does things which he later regrets. He wishes he were more popular, but he finds himself ignored, isolated, and rejected. He worries about little things, but he cannot find answers to them. He wants to improve his prestige and position, but unfortunately fails. He needs to develop self-confidence, but he is not given ample opportunities. He is easily hurt. He is not sure of himself. He hesitates to assume responsibilities. In short, he remains in a continual emotional state. Adolescence has therefore been regarded as a period of stress and strain. Problems of excessive curiosity. Curiosity becomes very intense during the later adolescence. Now the adolescent indulge themselves in the discovery of life knowledge. The new changes taking place during this stage stimulates their curiosity. They are curious to know about the relationship with the members of opposite sex, because the experience about them are interesting and joyful. Next is problems of adjustment with the other sex. The adolescence is the stage when interest in the other sex is developed as a result of certain physical developments. The perennial topics of conversation among boys and among girls are sex and the opposite sex. They try to learn about sex from each other. Often they do help each other, but such help is fraught with difficulties. Next is problems of adjustment with associates of one's own sex. Children of different socio-economic status work and play with each other. But the social distance increases in the adolescence period. Upper class boys do not like to make friendship with boys of the lower class. In the society of adolescents, there are many who are not popular, who do not belong, and who are occasional. It's strange to find isolates everywhere. Isolates are boys and girls who regard others their best friends but are disregarded by them. The adolescents who are thus rejected become quarrelsome and unduly sensitive. On the other hand, those who are liked seem to be cheerful, humorous, and lively. Thank you.